Hello, LinkedIn and private Facebook group. So I think we're live. Yes, I just had a notification on LinkedIn that we're live. So fantastic. I want to talk about something that has come up very often through my conversations with women. And it's in general, it is something that really can prevent us from going forwards towards health coaching, life coaching, any kind of work which requires us to step forward and us to reach for that agency and that control over our life. And so I wanted to address it in this live, how to take charge of your own health and life. And I'm going to talk about this from the nervous system approach. I think this is really fundamental because that nervous system approach really helps us to understand where we're at in our nervous system resilience. We require at least low to medium level of resilience where we have access to some resources which can help us to step forward and commit to our healing journey. So, and have this realization, this really fundamental realization that what we need to do, what we are doing is shifting from that mindset of fixing the problem, moving to just trying to manage pain or struggle or stress, whatever it is that we are experiencing in that dysregulated state, whether it is manifesting through physical pain, through emotional difficulties, mental sort of cognitive difficulties of focus, the brain fog, the lack of concentration, or spiritual, where our sense of self and sense of and self-worth are affected. Wherever you're on whatever type of symptoms you're experiencing, they are interconnected. So this is why we always talk about them. We kind of divide them and categorize them, but really essentially they stem from the same thing. So moving from trying to move out of those states, being motivated by fear of that struggle, or just wanting to escape the pain, is unfortunately going to keep us stuck in that cycle. And this is where this mindset of fixing the problem is not helpful, where we are just trying to correct something. By usually what we do is we seek help from experts. And now I want to really, really make sure that I'm very clear that there is a time and place for medication. There is a time and place for doctors. There is a time and place for external help that is from the medical expert, in order for us to get out of some kind of crisis, of emergency, of that state of survival, because our own resilience and our own resources are really very, very depleted and very low. And that is not the place or time and place for transformational work. Perhaps I should rephrase that. That is not the time and place for coaching, transformational coaching work, when you are in need of rebuilding some fundamentals before you're able to get some kind of management and coping going in your life. When you are in the place, and if you're in the place of coping, and most women that I speak with are in that purely because that is my, really, that is my, that are the women that I am working with and that I want to work with at that place of coping, where you are managing, you are getting things done, you are you're achieving things. It's just that life isn't as good as it could be, and your health symptoms, which you will have from that unresolved chronic stress that I talk about a lot as being the underlying root cause of pretty much most of our chronic health problems, is, and it's manifesting through various different symptoms, but you're somehow managing them. But you know that these health problems are degrading your quality of life, and they're keeping you stuck. They're preventing you from really going and reaching for that full potential that you know you have. And whether it's better, and again, this kind of manifests itself in all areas of our lives, whether we want to improve. I've just seen a notification, so I'm going to see if someone is on the live just to make sure, and then I'm returning to what I'm saying. So if you are on here, you are very welcome to say hi in the comments below. Let me know that you're here. I am just going to mute my other device because right now I can hear my own voice. Okay, so have I not done that? So there we are. How can I mute this? That's it. Okay, sorry about that. So if you are, and when you are in that coping space, your resilience is already above that really low level. So you might have medium resilience, which means that you have resources. You have resources to manage what is going on in your life, but you are quite desperate to go beyond pain. You want to go beyond stress. You want to go beyond that overwhelm, beyond that frustration. And frustration is typically a symptom that manifests itself in this state of coping. And this is a nervous system state. So we then move up towards growth and fulfilling our potential, within which our body and our health can be in a state of healing and regeneration. And I want to return to those states to talk where it is that really you want to be thinking to be moving towards. But before I do that, I want to go back to the thing that I said at the beginning, is why this is a nervous system lens and approach. Because within these different states that we find ourselves in, whether it's in the survival or the coping or the growth and our potential and healing, it comes from the state of our nervous system. Now, the mindset that we have, the thoughts that we have, are the result of the state of our nervous system. Your body is your brain. You will have heard me say this before. Your body is your brain. This is biologically what is going on. So we don't just think our experiences through life. We feel through life. We experience life in an embodied way. Our emotions are in our body. Our life experiences in our body. Our belief systems are in our body. And when we say in our body, that what I'm really talking about is the state of our nervous system. And so when we are in that crisis and that survival state, we are very much in the survival states of our nervous system. And that means that we are in that between that fight or flight, so that sympathetic activation that becomes the fight or flight, which gives us that heightened state of anxiety, that hyper alertness, the various different health issues like digestive problems, immune system difficulties or weaknesses, autoimmunity, states of anxiety, states of depression, the general sense of life being really, really hard. And so we go typically from that to spending a lot of time in that shutdown. So because we don't have that balance in our nervous system where we are regulating our state, we are thrown into the state of shutdown and collapse, which feels like I just described, where life just feels really, really hard. And within that state, it's very difficult. You can't go from there to being in a state of expansion and growth and resilience. We've got to go through that mobilization of our sympathetic activation. So we have to activate a little bit of anxiety in order. This is where things might sometimes feel worse before they get better. But I'm digressing a little bit. I want to get back to that, talking about how the nervous system is really, how the body is really speaking to us as to how we feel where we're at and whether we are able to go and take that step towards our own agency, which means that we take responsibility for our own health, which means that we don't just want someone else to fix our problems. And I don't mean that in that we are not capable of taking responsibility. Quite on the contrary, I wouldn't be doing this work if I didn't believe that we have that potential. Of course, we all have that within us and we can take that responsibility. It's whether or not we see that we have that potential and whether we see that hope and whether we see that it is in our power to do the work for our own health and to change the things that we want to change through that nervous system regulation work. So what nervous system education and information, which is what you get when you work with me, you learn about your body and brain, that really demystifies how you came to be where you're at, who you are. It really it takes that mystery out of it. But it just opens up, that it gives you that clarity of what it is that needs healing in order to overcome these health, whether, all the health problems, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual health issues. And so what we want is to get out of those states of dysregulation, which is keeping us in that survival, that coping state, of the being stuck in fight or flight and being stuck in the shutdown state. We want to move towards having more resilience, more access to the so-called social engagement ventral vagal nervous system state, within which we have access to connection, safety, experiencing joy, being able to be more present, having energy, energy that's not depleting. So energy for the things you want to do without that crash and without that fatigue, and presence. Fundamentally, we can only solve and deal with things that we can be present with. When we are in that chaotic stress of the fight or flight, of that heightened anxiety, it's very difficult to be present with what is going on. And so essentially our journey from surviving through to coping towards that growth and expansion, expanding our potential, that journey is a nervous system regulation journey. We can see the world, we can see ourselves, and we can see other people, all essential to our well-being and to our health, from a very different place when we have access to that nervous system regulation. And just to go back to that point where life coaching, health coaching, embodiment work, which is my kind of approach to helping women overcome their mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual challenges from chronic stress. When you're in that state of coping and you have a little bit of resilience, that's a really good place to consider getting this kind of help and this kind of work, and shifting from that mindset of it's not just that someone is going to fix you. I can't fix you. No expert can fix you. And I know that culturally we are led to believe that, culturally we really emphasize external fixes to internal problems, and they don't work. We get stuck because we don't really get the solutions that we need, and that doesn't solve our stress and anxiety until we realize that only we live in our body, only you have the experience of your own body, only you can affect the change within your body. And nervous system regulation work is exactly about that. It's reconnecting to the body. So many women that I speak with tell me, I know, I can feel that my stress is in my body, that it's not something that I can think my way through and out of. And when I say stress, I mean dysregulation in the nervous system. I mean accumulated stress, chronic stress, traumatic stress, that trauma that we go through in childhood, not as an event that we experience, but as our needs not being met, because our caregivers weren't regulated themselves. They may have been emotionally detached and dissociated and couldn't really didn't regulate their own emotions, and so we didn't learn how to regulate ours. And our nervous system is patterned for survival because that's how we work, that's how our body works, that's how our biology works. We have self-protective mechanisms that step in, which are, highly, obviously they work for us, they keep us alive and they make us survive, and we go through a lot in life. But we come to a point when we know that something isn't quite right. We can't quite put our finger on it. And that's what it is. It's those patterns that we didn't choose them. They are subconscious in our system, in our body. They're not there by choice, but we, nonetheless, we have them. And the great thing is that we can repattern them, but we've got to become present with it, and we've got to bring it up to the consciousness and know how to work with the body without having to go into the story. It's not about the story. It's about the tension and the stress that we're keeping in our body that we can release through embodied practices. And then we have nutritional support, which can really help our system to also overcome that chronic stress. So I'm not talking about restrictive diets, resets, cleanses. Those can be really effective once you're able to regulate your nervous system, or you've regained some kind of balance and regulation in your nervous system, because with that comes your body's ability to digest food and absorb nutrients. So we shouldn't really go through restrictive dieting and resets until we've reconnected with our body and have regained balance and regulation in our nervous system. But there are nutritional we do need certain nutrition when we're under chronic stress and when we are healing chronic stress, because our body depletes particular minerals that are required for our nervous system to function properly. So this is where health coaching or doing transformational type work with yourself, where you have to where you are healing to step into the driver's seat of your own health. That's where it comes in. And we can then help you move towards that expansion, towards that having more capacity for stressful situations, putting yourself forward, because going forward towards something that we want requires taking risks. We have to put ourselves forward for things. And when we don't have that felt sense of safety and connection, and we're not connected to that creativity, it's very, very difficult to do. And we'll feel like we're hitting a wall with our head. So to get to that flourishing, to that feeling that I'm thriving, and that doesn't mean that you won't feel a stress and overwhelm sometimes, but you know how to get yourself out of those states, which means that your body regulates and it doesn't get depleted. Your body continues to produce energy levels, which means that you can sleep thoroughly at night, which means that you have better hormonal balance. And I will bring that topic of hormonal balance and stress and fertility, PMS, perimenopause and menopause, how that all is interrelated, perhaps on another live, but I just wanted to mention it, that it is on my mind, because this is very much linked with women who find themselves stuck in life and in health around that midlife, which is also coupled with the hormonal changes, which we may or may not experience in intense ways. And there are ways through nervous system regulation to really lower that suffering and that struggle through hormonal imbalance. Doesn't have to be so intense, and as so many women are experiencing these days. So I do want to address that. But I think this was so I wanted to really position where the health coaching, embodiment, nervous system regulation work comes in, and what it is that we are feeling, whether we can step forward towards having committing to our health and having that transformation literally at the embodied level, at our nervous system pattern level, whether we can step forward or whether we are going to be finding ourselves just stuck in that pain and in that struggle, and finding many reasons why we can't do it. I can't do something is also comes from a nervous system state. So I am enrolling currently for my program From Stress to Self-Trust. It's a nervous system regulation for high achieving women program, and we are starting the week of March 6th. So quite soon. If this is, and essentially what we're doing is nervous system regulation and healing, so that you can get into the driver's seat of your own health, so that you can regain that agency and that ability to follow your own self-motivation, rather than be doing things for that external validation. And regain that connection, that grounding, and that sense of presence. So if this is something that is resonating with you, and you've heard me post about this before, you've heard me talk about this before, and you'd like to know more, just send me a private message on LinkedIn, and we can connect that way. I can see I can't tell who it is, but I can see there are some women or some people on this live. So if you have, I'll hang around for a minute. If you have any questions right away, you're very welcome to drop them into the comment. Otherwise, you're very welcome to message me privately through the DM, which of the kinds of symptoms and frustrations are you experiencing, and what is resonating with you about the nervous system approach and lens about yourself, about your health, about where you're at. I'm really, really curious. I'd love to know if there are any comments and any questions, and I can't see anything, so I think I will probably close this here. I look forward to seeing you on another live soon, potentially on the relation between stress and hormones, which I think is really, really quite relevant to our discussion about the nervous system and women's health and our health transformation. So I will see you soon on another live. Take care, have a wonderful rest of the day, and see you soon.